Beall Power Solutions out on location in beautiful southeastern Oklahoma, working on a off-grid project for a customer. We've had this little weekend cabin up here for some time now with a generator, but they really haven't had full-time power unless the generator's running. So we're getting them a system put out here on their barn. Pretty cool. So we've got let's see, 9 Q-cell 395s going on this south face and 6 going on the north face with tilt brackets. And those will tilt them up to around flat, maybe a little bit of a south face, but really for the customer, this was the goal of that, rather than doing a ground mount, was just kind of cost. So keeping the cost a little bit lower, but man, look at that view. A lot of people don't realize you can get this in Oklahoma, but you drive far enough, you sure can. So we're getting the trench done. We're gonna get some stuff buried. We're gonna get a little PEX line buried out there for the customer, stub it out for him. But it's going through. This is day 1. Got here a couple days, maybe 3. All right. Very pretty out here. All right, end of our first day. Got the trench filled back in mostly. We still got to finish it up on this side. Got some gen wire, some URD, some direct bury Cat 5. Ran through there for the customer. Got most of our racking done on this roof today. Got the front section, we got to cut the rails down once we get our panels on there, and then got this backside done as well on the attachments. These are a little more important to waterproof properly since they're actually screwed into the structure because they're tilt, so there's a lot more wind uplift on these back ones. So the front ones use what's called a protea bracket on the south face, and those are directly attached to the high of the trapezoidal steel. These back ones are screwed into the actual structural purlin with a heavy-duty screw. So you got a little bit more little creative about how you waterproof them. So what we did was we took a little pad of butyl tape underneath it, and then on top of that we painted a circle of metal roof sealant that we've used on plenty of other jobs in the past with great success. So it's worked out good. Let me show you the inside. All right, sorry about that. Had to get this door unlocked. So still a little bit of a mess in here, and the side by side's in the way, but we've got 3 of the 16 kilowatt hour EG4 indoor batteries, which are great. We love them. And then we got 2 of the EG4 6000 XPs. And then on top of there, we're just gonna put a little load center for some electrical in this building. And then out of the load center, we'll go out and feed the cabin. One thing I noticed about these new 16 kilowatt hour indoor units is not only do they have the Amphenol push to snap connectors, which are nice, but they give you a regular connection for a standard crimp lug, which for any of you guys in the industry, you know that can be helpful. If you ever needed to add on in the future another battery, and these crimp on connectors aren't available, you can just use a standard connector and get that battery tied in. So very nice. I'm excited with these EG4 6000 XPs. Haven't done these before. We typically stick to the hybrid inverter range, but on a project like this where there's no grid and no chance of there ever being grid, there's really no reason to pay the extra money. So this will have 12,000 watts of inverting power for this property, and I think it's going to be a good good project for the customer. So yep, we'll keep you updated on the progress. It's the end of day 1. We should be mostly done by the end of tomorrow. Thanks. All right, end of day 2. Got all but one of the modules up. Looks a little messy up there. We're still working on some wire management. Got the trench all done and tamped down and leveled out best we could, and got our 2 sleeves up with LBs into the battery gutters. We've got his PEX ran for him. It'd be nice. That's our 1-inch LB that's going up. It's hitting our solar PV strings coming down. Pardon the mess in here. Still working on some things, but we got power on. 3 of these batteries are working. Got the inverters commissioned in parallel, feeding this little load center here. And I've got a little router set up. So it'll feed off the Starlink in his cabin with an Ethernet underground, direct berry, to this router, which will create a Wi-Fi network out here for a shop. And the batteries and the inverters will be able to connect to that Wi-Fi network for pretty solid communications, assuming everything is working well with the Starlink. But it's working out well. I like these 6000 XPs. They're a lot simpler than the hybrid inverters. They're just simpler setup, and seems like they're kind of hard to mess up. So I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, I'll show you the back side of the shop building here, where we got our tilt brackets up. Still got, again, some wire management to do, so just keep that in mind. But this is kind of the general idea. So you got to keep in mind some inter-row spacing. So at the winter solstice, when the sun's kind of far back in the south, you don't want the top of that row to shade the bottom of this row. And you actually use trigonometry to figure that out, that spacing. So we, and on the winter solstice itself, we'll have a little bit of shading in the morning and the evening when the sun kind of dips back in the sky. But, you know, our 4-hour peak solar window, we had no shading there, which is great. So the goal here was just to kind of max out what we could on this roof. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job at that. And if he ever begins to expand out here, we'll probably end up just putting in a ground mount. Maybe a little MT Solar or Sinclair mount out here for this. So that's kind of what it looks like. So yeah, working out good. We'll probably have another couple hours tomorrow morning. We could have gotten it done today, but we've been doing a little fishing after our work days. So little Airbnb we're staying at, it's got a nice pond. Not pond, it's Wister Lake, but they've been catching some good stuff. But we'll probably fish after the whole day tomorrow once we're done working, and then head home that evening. So all right, we'll keep you in the loop on when we get this all knocked out, and we'll show you the final product. All right, end of day 3. Just got the job done. Guys are headed out, go do a little fishing. Got everything taken care of. So this customer already had an existing 16 kilowatt Kohler standby generator back there. So we utilized that, got it interconnected, tied into the system. He's got 2 ways to start that. So the inverters will auto start the generator once the battery banks hit 20%, and it'll charge them back up, carry the load, and charge the batteries up to 100. But also, he's got a little 2-wire switch in his cabin there that he can use to turn that on just as a backup for whatever reason. But it came out really nice. We got a little torrential downpour today, a little thunderstorm. So that's kind of what you get here in Oklahoma in April. But it's working out good. It's not super sunny out, but we're still getting a little production. But it came out pretty nice. I like these new 314 amp hour EG4s. Kind of like them a lot. They the old style, you had to set a bunch of dip switches for, you know, master and follower, but these are all done automatically. So we've got 2 of the EG4 6000 XPs and 3 of the 16 kilowatt hour batteries. We've got 15 Q-cell 395 watt modules. And under those, we went ahead and put some Taiga optimizers in just for some shade mitigation. There's some trees around, and those north tilted array in the very deep winter, in the morning and evening, there'll be some shading from the north row to the south row. So those optimizers will kind of help mitigate that a little bit, but it's working good right now. He's not using too much power. I think the only thing in there right now is a mini split, and it must not be turned on right now, but it's been keeping the whole place running all day. Got the battery tested in both of the configurations. We got his Wi-Fi set up out here, so everything's communicating with the cloud, and came out really nice. We've got this little quad plug over here we set, so we got the 2 inverter outputs feeding in here, and then the 100 amp output goes out to the house. Some URD underground in the trench. I'll show you how these tilted panels came out. Look pretty nice. So they're slightly angled, tilted to the south, but pretty much flat. So the winter, there won't be a ton of production from these back 6, but the goal was to kind of fill up this entire building, see what we can get on it, and then if he needs anything else in the future, we'll just put a little ground mount out here. But I think this came out pretty nice. So up to this point, he's had a generator only, so if he wants power, that generator's humming in the background, but now it'll be 24/7 power to this cabin, and the generator will just be used here and there as a backup. So he'll have some fuel savings, and be a lot more like a kind of a regular cabin situation. So turned out great. If a system like this interests you at all, my name is Noah Beall with Beall Power Solutions. We service Oklahoma, South Kansas, North Texas, and kind of any of the surrounding areas. So if this interests you, give me a call. My phone number is 405-812-6693, and my email is noah@beallpowersolutions.com. Thanks so much.